The night over the Black Sea was supposed to be calm, a safe harbor for Russia's mighty Black Sea fleet. But Ukraine had other plans. Because when you tell a nation fighting for survival that something is untouchable, that's exactly what they'll aim for. On September 24, 2025, the lights of Novorossiysk flickered under the shadow of a new kind of war, a war where silence is the deadliest sound. And what came next? Nobody in Moscow saw coming. For months, Ukraine's HUR intelligence had watched, waited, and planned, waiting for that perfect window when Russia's complacency would become its greatest weakness. While the Kremlin celebrated the so-called restoration of its naval command after the loss of Sevastopol, Ukraine's engineers were finishing something extraordinary, a strike that combined air, sea, and artificial intelligence in ways the world had never seen before. They called it the hybrid ghost strike. 6 AQ-400 Scythe drones, sleek and near-silent, each carrying a 270-kilogram warhead, were programmed to think like human pilots, adaptive, reactive, and coordinated with 3 Magura V5 sea drones below. Together, they weren't just machines, they were a swarm with purpose. The plan was as audacious as it was dangerous. Penetrate Russia's new safe zone, outsmart its radars, jam its jammers, and cripple its most advanced frigate, the Admiral Makarov. Now, imagine the Russian officers that night, sipping tea on deck, watching the moonlight reflect on calm waters, convinced that Novorossiysk was beyond Ukraine's reach. Because after all, they had Podsolnukh coastal radars scanning the sea, Krasuka 4 jammers guarding the skies, and Panzer C-1 missile batteries locked and loaded. Safe? Not tonight. At 01:17 a.m., a lone Magura drone emerged on radar. Alarms blared, and the Panzer operators locked on. "Target acquired," one shouted, and fired. Missiles streaked across the night sky, obliterating the decoy boat in a fireball. Russia cheered for 30 seconds, because while their eyes were blinded by the explosion, the real attack began. The Scythes dove in, fast, low, invisible. Their AI navigation rerouted every few seconds, weaving through radar gaps created by clouds of chaff released by the Magura boats. It wasn't chaos, it was choreography. And then silence. For the next 2 minutes, Russian command saw nothing. No blips, no targets, just confusion. Jamming or a trick? Too late. The Scythes were already inside the perimeter. One drone even turned mid-air to intercept a Russian Orion drone sent to investigate, ramming it mid-flight in a flash of light. It was at that exact moment that Ukraine's operators hundreds of miles away knew the mission had crossed the point of no return. The AI swarm was fully autonomous now, beyond control, beyond recall. And the Admiral Makarov, Russia's $500 million pride of the Black Sea, was about to meet its ghost. But here's where it gets haunting, because this wasn't just about destroying a ship, it was about destroying an illusion. As the first explosion rocked Novorossiysk harbor, even seasoned Russian sailors couldn't comprehend what hit them. But the real shock wasn't the strike, it was what came after. Because Ukraine's drones didn't just attack, they learned.
The moment the first explosion tore through Novorossiysk harbor, everything changed. The shockwave rippled across the bay, shattering windows, shaking buildings, and igniting the very heart of Russia's so-called unsinkable fleet. Alarms screamed across the base. The Admiral Makarov, once hailed as the pride of the Black Sea, was engulfed in flames. For a moment, sailors froze. Some thought it was an internal malfunction. Others whispered, "It can't be Ukraine, not here." But it was. And it wasn't just an attack, it was a message. As fire consumed the deck, one Scythe drone plunged straight into the ship's midsection, detonating near the Kalibr missile storage bay. The blast that followed wasn't just powerful, it was apocalyptic. Secondary explosions sent fireballs spiraling into the night sky, lighting up the entire coast like a second sunrise. Those who survived described it as if the sea itself had turned against them. In Kyiv's control room, operators watched the feeds go white. Static, silence, then confirmation. Target neutralized. Mission cost? $1.2 million. Enemy loss? $500 million, and an empire's pride. The hybrid ghost strike had done more than sink steel. It shattered psychology. Russia's safe harbor was no longer safe. The same harbor where they once mocked Ukraine for playing with toy boats was now burning because of them. And suddenly every Russian port commander from Sevastopol to Sochi had one thought racing through their minds. If Novorossiysk isn't safe, where is? Now, here's where the story twists. Because Ukraine didn't just win with drones, they won with data. Each drone's onboard AI recorded everything. Radar frequencies, response times, missile lock patterns. When the Makarov went down, so did the secrecy of Russia's electronic warfare systems. The next strike? It would be faster, smarter, deadlier. The ghosts were learning, and that's what terrified Moscow most. But in the middle of this triumph lies something darker. Behind every drone, every mission, are real people. Exhausted engineers, sleepless operators, and soldiers who know they may never be named. These are the invisible warriors of the 21st century. Their battlefield is silent. Their weapons don't march. They calculate. Their courage doesn't come from armor, but from the belief that even in the digital shadows, freedom has a heartbeat. And yet, even as the flames died down over the Black Sea, Ukraine wasn't celebrating, because every victory here comes with a cost, and every success invites a bigger response. Satellite imagery later showed Russian bombers being repositioned, missile launchers moved closer to the front, and new radar networks coming online. The game wasn't over, it had only evolved. Still, for that one night, the world saw something profound, the shift from old power to new intelligence. No matter how vast the empire, no fortress is safe from innovation and courage. And maybe that's the quiet truth of modern warfare. The future belongs to those who dare to rewrite its rules. But wait till you see what happens next. Because if you thought the ghost strike was bold, Ukraine's next operation makes this look like a rehearsal. If you're ready to witness how AI warfare is rewriting history, tap the next video right now. Ukraine's drones versus Russia's electronic fortress. Stay alert, stay informed, and remember, in war, silence isn't peace. Sometimes it's the calm before the strike.